Hello and welcome. I am R Squale and I want to start doing reaction videos. I've been watching a lot of Jubilee with a couple of my friends lately, especially some of their older videos, and I always love giving my 2 cents when nobody wants it. And I think that a lot of the people that they have on these, especially on some topics like the cheaters versus non-cheaters. I think that the people that they have on there are a lot stupid. So it's been a fun pastime to just watch these videos and critique um, the people that are comfortable enough admitting that they're cheaters and stuff. So I figured why not start with a fun one like vegans versus meat eaters. It's one of the shorter ones, an old one that they did. Only about 10 minutes, but yeah, I figure it could be fun. So here we go.
What are you putting in your body? Dead, carcass, pain, suffering, fear.
Yeah. And I enjoy every bite. So I want to preface this by saying that I'm going into this with a bunch of biases. I do not like vegans. I have never once had a positive experience with one. I think that compared to other dietary choices like vegetarianism or other things like that, there isn't a group that is more dogmatic than vegans in, telling you that you're going to hell or that you're a participant in a holocaust of animals or worse than Hitler or any of the above. Yes, I've had all those said to me. To me, the main thing is, as an outsider looking in, I don't know how anyone is supposed to believe a thing that you say when it's so emotionally charged. And, for me personally, I need facts, and I'm not saying that I eat meat because it's factually makes more sense than not eating meat. I just like the taste of meat. So that's where I say that I'm definitely biased and that, my opinion's not going to change whatsoever. But I do think that if they want to have people change their minds, and they need to do a better job at, being more not understanding, because I don't think that they can ever understand, but I guess there's a difference between understanding and accepting, right? Because you can understand something but not accept it. Like, I understand why some people like believe in things I don't believe in, but I don't agree with them. It's just something random that I guess doesn't really apply, but I don't know. So I like saying it. But yeah, here we go with the video.
I have all of my vegans go into that pool of light and my non-vegans in that pool of light.
Pool of light.
First statement, taste plays a big factor in my eating choices.
I'd hope.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge thing for me. I think it's one of my weaknesses, actually. Like butter, salt, it's one of my weaknesses.
I love food. And I think my relationship with food actually deepened when I became vegan. I don't think I appreciated it as much as I did before I was vegan.
So I'll say this, in that I do hear from a lot of people that they feel more connected with their food when they do focus on diets like veganism or vegetarianism, and they, are more in tune with what they like to eat and stuff. And I can see why that would be a benefit, but I don't think that you need to do those diets to do that. I think that food is a big part of everyone's culture, no matter where you are. And I think trying to force people to eat certain things or not eat other things is a slippery slope, first of all. But second, it's like, we should be able to enjoy what we eat. And there's a lot of stuff I just don't enjoy, in vegan food. Like, sometimes if it's prepared right, I can do tofu, but I'm not a big fan. Soy and soybeans are a bit different. I'll eat those occasionally, like edamame at sushi restaurants or whatever. But aside from that, like Impossible or there's this place I grew up by that was one of the first vegan restaurants that I ever went to, Veggie Grill, and shit was nasty. It was so bad. So that's where I'm like, I want to eat food that I enjoy, and I don't think making or trying to force someone to eat food that they don't enjoy is pleasurable. Just like I wouldn't I wouldn't force a vegan to eat meat, you know. So I don't know, like I know that they wouldn't enjoy that. I'm not going to force them to eat it, but I don't know why I should be forced to, you know, eat this stuff.
My name is Aubrey Davis, and I have been vegetarian for 24 years and vegan for 13 years.
Jesus.
I believe that humans are the top of the food chain.
Oh god, that guy was ready to get up here. So I kind of agree with that, but not in like a human supremacist way. I don't think that like we're on the top for, well, not for a reason. I think that we have, as humans, made technological advancements that we don't see in the animal kingdom as much as, you know, we do in humans. Like animals like sharks or tigers that are at the top of their food chains, they have, you know, natural biological tools like fangs and claws, whereas we don't. We've only had tools that we made. So that's where I'm like, I think that we're forcefully at the top of the food chain, but I don't think that, you know, if we were to put ourselves back when we had like sticks and stones and, you know, we're still hunter-gatherers before we became sedentary, I don't think that we were at the top of the food chain. And I think that if we went back to that, then yeah, we wouldn't be at the top of the food chain. But I think that it's complicated because I don't want to sound like a human supremacist. I'm like, I love animals, don't get me wrong, but I'm also like, you know, it's a, you can see both sides kind of conversation, because you can see that, yes, we shouldn't be causing, you know, deforestation and getting rid of the homes of animals. But at the same time, you know, in places like India, tiger attacks and stuff are a big problem. So they're constantly having to go hunt. But then you also, when you have people needing to hunt tigers, you run into, what is it called? Like poaching issues and stuff like that. Same with elephants. I remember reading something the other, what was it, a month or two ago, and I don't know if it was real or not because people were arguing about it, not knowing if it was real or not, but they were talking about how in certain parts of the world, elephants are an invasive species and they have to be hunted. Otherwise, they'll like, there'll be too many or something like that. And I don't remember all the particulars, so maybe it's true, maybe it's not, but you know, everyone was just arguing back and forth about what I was just saying. It's like they can see both sides of it. It's like, yes, if it's true, it's important. So it, you know, is safer, but then it leads to people more likely to participate in poaching and stuff like that. So that's neither here nor there, but
is a human at the same level of equivalence as like a fish?
Right.
That's probably a big reason why I'm not vegan anymore.
Right.
Is I didn't see that I had to see myself at a moral equivalent of a fish. And it gets into moral questions like, you know, why should we have a pet that's a dog rather than eat the dog? And I think the most important question is, why should I love my neighbor rather than eat my neighbor? My name's Steve Michalski.
I don't know. I have mixed feelings about that, because I think that while we may be at the top of the food chain, I think there's other animals that do things better. Like, you know, we may have put ourselves at the top of the food chain, but we don't have the senses that a dog, you know, has. We can't smell cadavers and stuff like that. We can't do what dogs do, or we can't, you know, pollinate flowers in the way that bees can or other hive mind creatures. I don't know. It's just, I think that different animals and creatures in the animal kingdom and stuff do different things. So trying to say that we could do like this whole thing of like, oh, do I think I'm better than a fish? I don't think that. I don't think that I think I do think that I'm better than a fish, but it's not in like a, oh, I look down on fish. It's that I think that I'm better than a fish at being a human, but I think that in terms of being a fish has me beat. Like I can't breathe underwater. I can't swim. I can't live underwater. I mean, I can swim, but you know, I don't have like fins or something like that to be able to swim around. So that's, yeah, I'm like, I don't think I'm better morally than a fish, but physically, I think that if a fish, as a fish, had to be a person, I think I would do better at it. Just in the same way that I think if a person vice versa. That's a weird example I gave, so I'm kind of twisting my own mind around.
Was a vegan for a year. I was a vegetarian for 2 years. I'm a meat eater now. I've been so for over 5 years.
Like, I don't even see, like, what is, like, a food chain, you know what I'm saying? That's just some construct some guy made and put a little diagram and put us human beings on the top, so.
I don't think it's a question of whether we're at the top. I think it's a question of what do you do with that? If you have a more conscious energy than an animal, what do you do with that power? Do you choose to take a life, or do you choose to live in...
See, this is the other thing. Like, I'm not even going to let her finish her sentence because I already know what she's going to say. She's going to be like, you're a murderer, you're a murderer, you're a murderer, you're a dirty, rotten murderer. And I can't stand that because I don't think a lot of vegans realize, but murder is not a term you can use for animals. It's literally, by definition, relating to crimes against humans. Humans, not people, humans. Because, you know, I got into an argument with a vegan not too long ago, and they said something, I'm trying to remember what it was, because I read it and my jaw dropped. I was like, I said out loud, I said, what? How can you think this way? They said, just because you're not a human doesn't mean you're not a person. And I'm like, I think that by the very definition of a person, you have to be human. Like, I understand the concern of treating something that's not human as less than, like, with less respect than you should. You know, it's easy to work, you know, be a billionaire and, like, owner of Tyson Farms and, you know, have no problem holding these chickens in these inhumane conditions. I can understand why they would be upset about that. But saying that, like, having no nuance whatsoever and immediately jumping to, well, they're people. I'm like, it doesn't make sense. And it's like, how do you expect to be taken seriously when you think that animals are people? Like, if you view animal slaughter as murder, that's already a problem, and it already stops any kind of meaningful dialogue happening because you see me as a monster. And I saw a great post talking about this the other day, and what they said was along the lines of, you know, I was dating this person that was vegan and I was not, and I broke it off with them, and I eventually broke up with them because, you know, we started talking about having a family, getting more serious, and it scared me, you know, because they said that they wanted to raise their kids vegan, and I said, you know, I don't mind you personally wanting to be vegan, but I don't know if we should do that for the children because, you know, I personally am not vegan, and I am scared that because you raise our children vegan, they're going to start to see me as a monster, you know, someone who maliciously murders and eats animals aggressively and, you know, like an actual monster. And I never thought about it that way, but I'm like, if they don't know, like if these kids weren't raised in an environment with a meat eater and they don't know and they're only being fed all these lies like a cowspiracy and stuff like that. And I do say lies. I say lies with a capital L because if you watch any of these videos, if you listen or read any of these reports that that vegans are constantly quoting as evidence or whatever of whatever they believe in, it's all emotional, pathological bullshit. Nothing in there is actually factual. And if it is, it's so like cherry picked to the point that if you actually start doing any, you know, reading into it, it completely crumbles upon itself. So that's why I'm like, you know, I understand that person's concern and that, you know, if I was dating a vegan, I mean, first of all, that wouldn't happen. But second, I'm like, I would be super uncomfortable. I would be like, yeah, I would feel like I'm a monster and I'm going to scare these kids because, you know, you already know how kids are with animals. They're like, you know, they think every animal's the cutest thing, and they are. But to think that they would then see me as like this, you know, scary big bad for just eating a burger every now and then, like I wouldn't be able to do that. And I think it's evil. Yeah, I said it. I think it's evil of someone who has a dietary choice. That's the thing. We haven't even gotten into how privileged it is to be vegan. The dietary choice is controlling, you know, how the children perceive the other parent. I don't know. And this is all in a hypothetical, you know, none of this happened. Like these children weren't actually born. They broke it off before any of that happened. But I think that is a perfectly good reason.
Love.
I put a lot of thought into my meals.
The way I support my body and my health is extremely important. I don't find that I can function at my best, either healthy, productive, emotionally stable, or intellectually capable, unless I have a lot of proper nutrients in my diet. 6 years ago, I became vegan because I got sick. I started to realize that my health was directly attached to what I ate.
I'm
Since
sorry,
then-
but his whole getup reminds me of those the fruitarian brothers from years ago that fucking died because they were on the fruitarian diet for what, like 11 or 12 years.
My friends and family have supported me to feeling better, and I'm better than I was before I got sick.
I don't really like cook or anything, so I don't really put too much thought into what I eat, I guess.
I live a fast pace, kind of like I'm working late nights or I'm waking up early, so sometimes it's easier to grab this quick processed sandwich, or I wish I planned my meals out more. I think I would feel a lot better.
I think it's really powerful.
So as a person who's not that picky when it comes to eating, like it's so easy for me to say this, but I understand if you're picky that it's not. Well, okay, so here's my thing though. There's a difference between being picky and that like you want a varied diet and then being a fucking child and being like, I can only eat chicken nuggets. That I can't stand. I think you need to fucking grow up and stop being so picky. But for me, I'm like, I don't necessarily do meal prep. I do sometimes, maybe like once or twice a week, I'll try and make an actual meal. But most of the time, I'm like, especially for lunch, sandwiches all the way. Super easy. Ham and cheese, turkey and cheese, anything in cheese, mustard, mayo, a bunch of bread, lettuce, tomato, easy sandwich. But you know, that's coming from someone who loves sandwiches. I think sandwiches are the easiest thing to ever make. So yeah, but I'm also like, I own an Instant Pot. I think if you don't own an Instant Pot, you should get an Instant Pot. If you have an Instant Pot and you still complain about meal prep, you don't have any excuse, because that has completely changed. I mean, it's completely changed how I do meal prep. I mean, I don't even do meal prep. I can just throw everything in there, and a whole normally 8 hours in the crock pot meal is like maybe at most an hour total, including prep time and everything in the crock or Instant Pot. So that's why I like it. Beef stroganoff is my go-to in there, either that or white chicken chili or something like that. Super easy. I mean, if you know if you know how to cut something with a knife and can measure, then you should be able to. And they're not that bad anymore. I think they're normally about like $40 or so. It's probably the best investment I've ever made. I mean, I didn't make it, someone gave it to me, but still, if I had to go back and buy one, I would.
No matter what you're eating, to put your intentions into, whether it's prayer, invocation, and there's just such great power in presence versus just like scarfing something down, but like, can I just really be present with this meal, take my time and chew it slowly? So that's the first thing that I resonate with and what I choose to do.
I would kill an animal.
I think there'd be tons of contexts where I'd kill an animal. Like if a lion's gonna go kill a baby, I'd probably kill an animal. I'd kill an animal to say,
I think for me, I'm not necessarily a city boy, but I'm definitely not, like a hunter or anything like that. But I've fished and killed and gutted the fish and everything. And I think that especially, I want to do homesteading eventually, so I have no problem chopping the heads off of chickens and having to pluck them, just because I understand that that's where food comes from, that's where meat comes from. And I think being emotionally detached from that is more of an issue. Like it's more of a problem than a benefit, just because I'm like, I don't think you should be so detached from your food that, it's like the people that are like, oh, I could never do that, but I have no problem eating it. That's why I'm like, I think that if you eat meat, you shouldn't have a problem like with killing the animal, because I think it's just a weird double negative in a way, but not necessarily. But it's more because I'm like, I think that you should be able to, like, if someone's willing to do it for you, you should be able to do it for yourself. Like, if you had to, like, I'm talking about, like, not necessarily life or death, but I'm like, if I was, I guess, yeah, that is life or death. I was going to say, if I'm stranded in a wilderness and I, need to set up a little, whatever they have in the movies. I mean, I don't, like I said, I don't hunt. So what is that thing where they have the little cardboard box and the the stick and the rabbit goes under the box, and so yeah, I could do that and kill the rabbit or something, but I don't hunt for sport or anything like that. I think, go ahead and sound off in the comments, but I'm like, I don't agree with that. I think hunting for sport within, like, in most situations, I don't agree with it. In some situations, like, I know that in some states the deer population is a problem, so they need to be culled, or hunted. So I understand that, but even then, I'm like, I don't think anyone should get a joy out of killing anything. Like, period. I don't think anyone should enjoy it. I think with animals, you should understand it and have respect for, the circle of life and whatnot. But, the people that are super excited to go hunting and shoot a gun or shoot a bow and stuff like that, I don't like them. And I think that, they are ticking time bombs for something else to happen. But that's a whole other topic for another day. But, yeah, I don't think that you should find joy in killing anything. So that's why I'm like, I think that I could kill an animal, but I wouldn't enjoy it, and I don't think anyone should.
Save a human life, and I get that vegans probably wouldn't do that.
If I could do something to prevent killing them, besides eating them, like if I was protecting myself and we had like something that we could do to get that animal away, I would definitely try to not kill it. I mean, I feel
But if
like
it comes down to you or the animal, you killing the animal?
I would.
No, they're going to give up their life for the fish.
Why is it always the
But think about
extreme
this.
case when talking about would I kill an animal? Like,
yeah, exactly.
if you were in this situation.
There aren't lions running around downtown LA.
When I was into hiking, there's
But there are in India. There are in many places around the world, and that's where I'm like, it's crazy how many people are vegan and don't realize how extremely privileged they are to be vegan. And it's not just the diet; it's the whole ideology, the cult that it is. It's like that example that he said. It's like that's just straight up whataboutism. It's like, sure, it might not be happening in LA where most vegans are. Let's talk about the privilege of just being able to live in LA. But just because it's not happening right in front of your eyes, it doesn't mean that it's a problem other places. I mean, shit, if elephants are a potential problem, why wouldn't tigers and lions be? I mean, it's tons of places in Africa when you go on the safari runs, it's still dangerous, and that's in like a preserved area. So that's why I'm like, I don't know. What he's saying doesn't make any sense. I mean, it does. It's just dumb.
There's mountain lions that come and kill people. You've known that, right?
Yes,
That's in Orange County,
totally.
right? That's not in the jungle in
It's not
Africa.
an everyday situation of would you kill an animal?
See, first the guy says, "Oh, but that's not happening in LA," and then this guy is like, "But it actually is with mountain lions." And then now she's like, "But it's not an everyday situation." It's like, what is with this whataboutism? No pun intended. I'm like, look at her even rolling her eyes. I'm like, I just want to pull her pigtails.
But it's Orange County. Mountain lions have killed hikers, kids. Would you
Totally.
just let them? No, let the kid
Yes,
die.
we're hiking in the mountains, and there's a mountain lion.
Oh my God. So that's the thing. I'm like, I don't think that we are on the food scale. Like, I don't believe in human supremacy, but I'm also like in a life or death situation. If I have the ability to stop myself or to stop an animal from killing me or my child, I'm going to, And it's insane that this guy, like, and the fact that she's smiling too, he's like, would you let this kid die? He's like, yes, I would.
I have to be aware of the fact that I'm in mountain lion territory and be like, I'm okay with the risk. Because to be honest, I'm not
That's
hiking
not
with
the thing, though. It's like yes, animals live in nature, but with the way that the world is, and I'm not trying to like side with big corporations or anything, but I'm like, we are blessed to have so many national parks in the US. And I think that too many people use this kind of excuse of like, oh, well, we're in their home. And I'm like, it's like a cohabitation thing where it's like we try and create an environment that they can still stay in where we're not encroaching on their territory, but one that we can also still enjoy the nature of our planet and like with all the growing amounts of concrete everywhere, essentially. So that's where I'm like, yeah, go ahead and be mad at this. Go ahead and say, oh, but we're in their territory or whatever. But also remember that, we are the ones that are responsible for why they have no territory anymore, or like, places to live. So I think that any place that we can offer for them is nice. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't stay there, because I live in the Pacific Northwest, so I go to the beach a lot, and we have really like heavily forested beaches and stuff, and there's constant mountain lion and cougar watches or whatever in the campgrounds that have all the trails, and I'm well aware of that. And I've even seen I haven't seen an actual big cat, but I've seen the droppings and stuff. So that's when I was like, I'm getting out of here. So I understand that I'm going to be in their territory, but I'm also not going to say, well, because I'm in their territory, then they have every right to kill me, and I'll accept that because I don't want to harm them. I'd rather they harm me than I harm them. And that's the other thing, is I'm like, the amount of damage that I could do to a mountain lion versus what they could do to me is very small. I don't have claws or anything. And I'm talking about, like, if I just have not a gun on me, if I just have like pepper spray or something, the worst that the cat's going to do is have to like run away because I've got shit in its eyes. And that's assuming that it would stop. I don't think a big cat would stop if you've sprayed it. I mean, I guess maybe, I don't know, because bear spray apparently works. So, but that's the thing. I'm like, even with a gun, like, you can shoot an animal and sometimes they can survive. I'm not going to say that all the time they do, but I'm like, unless you're like, if you don't shoot it in a artery or a organ or something, and it's a bigger animal, it could theoretically live. Theoretically, I'm not a biologist, I'm not a vet or anything like that. So this is more just like whataboutism for my argument. No, but yeah, this whole thing of like, you're in your territory, so you open yourself up to any risk. I'm like, if you're going off trail, that I will say, then you're opening yourself up to risk. But I'm like, these are well-maintained, groomed trails and stuff, especially in Orange County. That's why I'm like, that's honestly, most people living in California's only escape to nature is on those trails. So of course they're going to be well-maintained. Of course they're going to be constantly like watched to make sure that there's no dangers on them. And, especially in Northern California, there's constantly warnings about big cats on the trails. So that's why I'm like, I don't think that, I hope that people that live in California are going to these trails, seeing those warnings and being like, well, if my kid gets killed, that's completely on me. It's not the cat's fault whatsoever. Like, I'm not saying, the cat should have guilt, but I'm also saying, I'm like, I hope I'm making sense. Now I'm like losing the point a little bit.
The gun. I have no way to defend my friend.
You don't hike with a hiking pole?
I mean, a
I don't
hiking pole
hike,
against
I
a
don't.
mountain lion?
I don't think you're winning.
I just want to say, like, even if I did, and even if my attempt were to be successful, I would feel awful having killed the mountain lion.
Well, your feelings are your foundation then for your beliefs then.
100%. Are human beings animals?
Yes.
Yes.
Sure.
Would you kill another human being to save another human being?
Yes.
What makes one person more valuable to another? Is it your relationship to that person?
It would probably be.
So if, for example, I raise an animal in the wild, it's like an animal I've built a relationship with, and that animal now threatens the life of a human being that I don't know, but I've known that animal its entire life. What makes killing that animal as just cause okay as opposed to saving that life? I have a longer relationship with that animal. Why would I kill the animal before I'd save that person? Because it's about relationship.
I'd also like to say that whenever people talk about this, they fail to remember that, like, if I'm going to speak completely clinically, take any emotion away from this, humans live a lot longer, and they also take a lot longer to be born, and they're also more, like, vulnerable. We're one of few mammals that is completely incapable of defending for ourselves as soon as we're born. So that's where I'm like, if we were still in hunter-gatherer era, I mean, most of us wouldn't survive. I mean, most people didn't survive. That's why people had 20,000 kids up until like 2 days ago. I mean, they still do. So that's where I'm like, this whole thing of like, I don't even really know what he's trying to say. He's like, is he trying to say that you would have a problem killing another person but not another animal? I'm like, I don't know what they're trying to say. Because my thinking is, I'm like, they seem to think that we're living in Zootopia or something, or that if we were all vegan, then we would live in Zootopia, where animals start having jobs and stuff. And the fact of the matter is that when you live in reality, you understand that, you know, humans, while other animals have some technology and stuff, like we've seen, you know, monkeys open up bananas and whatnot, there aren't any other animals that have made the advances like we have, especially in terms of evolution and stuff. So that's where I'm like, why would we develop and change as a species over, you know, thousands of years just to choose of our own volition to completely change our what we're designed to do, because we feel bad? I don't know. I mean, again, completely clinically, no emotion in there. That's what I think is basically the summary of veganism. And I'm like, you know, you can believe what you want to, you can do what you want to, but at the end of the day, it just doesn't make any sense. Like the quote unquote sacrifices you're making. I'm like, if like animals wouldn't do that for you. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be vegan because of that, but I'm also saying, like, people that are vegan for health reasons, no problem with it. People that are vegan so that they can proselytize their beliefs on others, I don't understand why you'd want to proselytize something like this. Because I'm like, even looking at him, I'm like, dude, you look like a friggin' fool. Like, why would I listen to anything that you say or why would I listen to it without, you know, the biggest grain of salt while listening?
Kill a person over an animal. That's
Correct.
Just how you,
Because I believe human beings are animals.
Now, I see humans at a different level, but maybe you value fish at the same level as a person. We see it very different.
I do.
It costs more than it should to eat healthy.
It's more expensive to eat healthy. I don't think it's too expensive. Farmer's market is something that I'm trying to frequent more, but sometimes, you know, you can go spend $20 here and definitely not get as much. I definitely want to see that. You know, maybe that'll encourage people to eat a little healthier. If you can go grab that fresh fruit, those fresh veggies for $5-10, you know?
I think our culture as a society is just ingrained towards like the fast food culture, which is cheap and accessible. But now I think we have more of a established like medical basis on what's healthy and what's not healthy. And to get that.
Yeah, no comments here. I mean, I think that is a real problem, but that's more of a problem with just food in general, like food deserts and stuff like that. So I'm like, I don't really think that, you know, that's monolithic to vegans. I think that's just monolithic to all food in general.
Content and to have it be tasty as well is expensive.
I'm running in. I have so much to say. It does not cost more money to be vegan. That is a myth. It takes planning. Yes, the convenience is less. Can you grab a hamburger at McDonald's? For sure, for 99 cents. But how much lentils can you buy? The issue is capitalism. Like, that is what is keeping us where we are. It's not that humans are smarter and they're gonna come up with this technology. The technology exists. It is there. We can feed so many people. It is capitalism and factory farming.
And most of these companies that are selling us
So
products.
this is a big one that I'm hoping, or I was hoping that one of them would bring up. All of this factory farming and stuff, yeah, bits and parts of what she said was true. But she's misconstruing the whole idea and the whole argument to suit her favor. And the thing with, yes, factory farming is bad. Yes, mass-produced animals are bad. Yes, they take a lot of water. Yes, they take a lot of land. Yes to all that stuff. But what they fail to realize or fail to mention is what is also well established, and that monocropping is bad. Monocropping is already destroying much of our soil. Like, it's the main culprit for soil degradation. I want to know what their plans are for fertilizer. If they don't plan to use fertilizer, if they don't plan to have any domesticated animals in farms, I also hope that they have plans on what to do with those domesticated animals, because after thousands of years of being domesticated, they don't know how to defend for themselves in the wild. So getting rid of domestication or domesticated animals is essentially a death sentence on all those animals. Not to mention that, like, going back to it, the monocropping stuff, soybeans take some of, if not the most water in any kind of mass-produced crops. as well as monocropping is bad. Monocrops is when you, if you don't know what it is, it's when you just plant a bunch of the same crop with no crop diversity. There's a thing, and like it's more small scale farming, but big scale farms have gotten into it. But companionship gardening or whatever, it's different for small and big scale. But big scale, it's more for like if you plant like I don't know exactly what they are, but if you plant one plant and if you plant all of one plant, the issue with that is that you don't have anything to combat against the pests, and if you get a pest like blight or something on your crops, then everything's going to get it, because it's all, like, let's say it's corn, it's all corn, so it could all be corn blight. Whereas if you had crop diversity, you could have like a corn and a cotton field or something next to it, and then the cotton field would theoretically stop the blight from spreading to the next cornfield over, or something like that. And soil degradation has been a known problem for millennia. Like not exact, like literally millennia, but we used to do, back in medieval feudalism times, we used to do 4 square farming, where it would have a plot of land, or a fertile soil would be divvied up into 4 squares, and 3 of those 4 squares would be used for tilling, and that last square would not be used for planting. It would have the animals like cows grazing on it and fertilizing it, and then the next growing season they would rotate it clockwise, so that one that was just being fertilized would now be planted on, and then the square next to it wouldn't be grazed or wouldn't be planted on, it would be fertilized, so that each one could eat, after each season would get fertilized, and the soil degradation wouldn't become a huge problem. So again, that's where I'm like, what's their plan if they aren't going to use fertilizer? I don't even know. I'm also making jokes where I'm like, if you you can't be vegan because you have to you have to eat veggies, which are pollinated by bees, unless you're pollinating everything by hand. So that's the main thing where I'm like, monocrop and all this other stuff is like, the more and more you talk to vegans with their beliefs with facts, the more and more that they just start calling you names instead of actually talking about this, because at least in my experience, because as soon as I start talking about the monocropping and all this other stuff, not to mention the fact that it's, cultural erasure and racism and has airs of colonialism, especially when I get to that point, they don't want to have anything to do with me. So if you're a vegan and you watch this and you have anything to say, please feel free to, say something in the comments, as long as you aren't calling me worse than Hitler or something like that, because I am genuinely wanting to know, like, I want to have a civil discussion with a vegan, that's my dream, but obviously I don't know where to go. I'm not gonna like go to some convention or something. Like I want it to be in an environment that's not a echo chamber, like a Reddit or a Facebook group or something like that. So, like, if you're vegan and you disagreed with anything that I've said so far, please let me know. I'd love to, start a dialogue with you, as long as you don't start calling me names, because, I can disagree with you, but I haven't called you names. Okay, I was gonna say maybe I did, but I'm like, I called veganism stupid, not vegans. Maybe I did call them stupid.
That are like shitty food, they don't give a fuck about you at all. Period. Someone's sitting on an island somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Like just stacking bread.
And they're
on
probably
all this fast food shit.
eating really healthy food too.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're probably eating real good.
They probably
their
don't
own
touch
products.
it. Yeah.
They're not eating any of that shit.
You go to certain neighborhoods, certain areas, you don't see the same fast food. You don't see the same restaurants. And it's all for a reason.
Accessibility.
I mean, yeah, that's a good point. It's like they don't have, why is there many health food stores in the hood? How come I can't
Exactly.
like get an option? Why is there a
Why is
liquor
there a
store
liquor
everywhere?
store?
Exactly.
And it's true, it's like when you break it down, there's like malicious intent to deharmonize and like lower the vibration of certain people and certain areas. And it's like, that's a part of it too. It's like, what am I contributing to?
True.
I'll say this, when I was 11 years old, my father passed away from his second heart attack. He was diabetic, he was pissing out of a tube. I watched him deteriorate my youngest years of my life. For like years and years, just deteriorate, taking pharmaceutical drugs and just kind of basically dying
mom
slowly
passed too.
because of what he chose to eat. To me, I'd rather spend an extra $1 in either organic or something healthy now and live longer than try to
I'm
cut
sorry, I just wanted to
corners.
say, I'm like, what a weird thing to just say randomly. He's like talking about how, his dad's dietary choices affected his downfall, and then that girl's just like, my mom died too. She did. Like, okay. Not sure why you said that.
when, you know.
I'm with you.
in
Like,
the
make
end-
the choice now instead of later.
In the
Because
end-
my mom was same thing. She
Yeah.
died. She was eating buckets of ice cream when she passed away. She died at 49 years old.
Wow.
Now, choose now.
The more education that we can put out there, just like stuff like this is beautiful. That's what I was most anxious about, is learning more of what I'm trying to step into. I don't know if I'll ever give up chicken. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I don't know. I want to eat a lot cleaner chicken.
Do you guys have like cheat days ever?
Hell no. I am vegan 100% at the front line, ethical reasons, always, always, always. And that's why I don't think in 24 years I've ever gone back.
It was hard to try new things I didn't like, found tons of vegan food that I was like, oh God, what the fuck are you people eating? And then simultaneously realizing that there was options, you know, there's always choices, and it's always choices we make. Like you said, you may never give up meat fully, but it's like you're making a choice. You're at least thinking for yourself and making a decision, and like that's all you can ask people to do, is think for themselves.
I really appreciate each and every one of y'all. Thank you
problem.
so much. Thank you. I really appreciate y'all. Thank you for coming out.
So, my final thoughts. I mean, I pretty much said everything that I thought. I think that, you know, I haven't seen this video before, so this is a complete blind reaction. But I want to watch one of the longer ones. They have one that I watched about 20 minutes of, and I I already know I could go on for a long time about that, and it's a lot more heated. So if you guys want to see me do that one, let me know. But thank you to Jubilee for letting me do this video. Or not letting me, but having this video out there for me to react to. But yeah, I think that everybody is perfectly and 100% entitled to their own dietary choices. I think the problem would be with any dietary choice, and that once you start imposing it on other people and telling them they have to do this and they are not a good person for XYZ because of XYZ, then it starts leaning more towards proselytizing and being dogmatic than it is towards just doing something that you want to do. And also, I am a big believer of good deeds don't count if you tell the whole world about them. So I'm like, be a good person for whatever reasons you believe, because you want to be, not because you are saving the animals or some other kind of performative activist bullshit. You know, I think that too many people try and, you know, do good things just for the sake of having a better rapport with the world. And the reality is, I'm like, if I see you, like if I see those videos of people, you know, feeding the homeless, I'm like, it's inspiration porn. It, you know, and that sounds shitty to say, but I'm also like, I think that's what they intend on doing. It's like, oh, well, why would you be so negative and talk about, like, why would you shit on someone doing charity? And I'm like, but especially in the day and age of social media, I'm like, it's not charity if they get fucking paid for it. Like, if your whole content is doing things that are like doing acts of charity, like Mr. Beast, for example, I'm like, everyone praises him as like being this super cool guy, or they used to. I mean, before all this stuff happened, but years ago when he first started being popular, I'm like, I always thought it was weird that he got paid for charity. I'm like, always felt like a bit of a scam, like something highly illegal. But yeah, that's it. I think you know, do whatever diet you want to, but don't try and force it on other people. But I hope you guys enjoyed that, and make sure you check out the channel for more videos coming soon. All right, thank you.